So I've been using the Pixel 9. I've switched from the 9 Pro to the 9 XL over the last couple of weeks.
I'm going to stop you right there. The main topic this week is about the Pixel 9a query, obviously.
Okay, so in terms of like the fact that it's leaked, or just the fact that we want to talk about the Pixel 9a, because it seems like the most inopportune moment for the 9a to leak, right?
It's comedic. It's hilarious how bad it is. It's just comedic timing aside. It's bad. The device itself, I kind of think it looks different from everything that Google has made before. So it's basically the 9 without the camera bar bump.
How do you feel about that being removed? How do you feel about the camera bar being removed?
I guess philosophically, the broader question is: in an ideal world, does the Pixel have a camera bar, or in an ideal world, is it flush? If the technology allows it to be flush, shouldn't that be the direction Google goes?
I don't know. I kind of like the camera bar. I think it stands out. It's cool. I think clearly if there was a way for the tech to be flattened into the camera body, we'd have thick phones. But at the same time, I'm looking at a multitude of mobile phones on my desk, and almost all of them have some protruding element to them. Like, we've clearly can't engineer around it. At this point in time, maybe the Pixel 9a is going to go back in time and just say, hey, we're going to make it as basic as possible in terms of the camera system and refine with software again. But yeah, how do you feel about the design? Because obviously this has been a bit of a strange one, right? We're gearing up to talk about Pixel 9 Pro XL review in the next couple of days. We're spending time with all of the Pixel 9 devices, and then bam, we're all caught off guard. Pixel 9a, supposed Pixel 9a. Obviously, we can't corroborate this, has leaked.
Yeah, it's just a flat Pixel 9 without the camera bar, and I think it reminds me so much of the Pixel 4a, which we both loved as phones. It's flat, it's just the most minimal of camera bumps, barely there in the grand scheme. This appears completely with the case. And I don't know, it just feels different from what Google has been doing. There's obviously no camera bar. And personally, I do think the camera bar, it's useful to rest your finger on underneath as a grip. So that helps in that regard. But I don't know, this phone just it speaks to me almost. And it harkens back to the Pixel 4a, the beloved Pixel 4a. And I don't know, there's something about I would use the heck out of that phone.
I just hope it's lightweight. It does look like it's... I don't know if it looks plasticky or if it looks almost metallic. Obviously, the two images will be in the show notes as well. You'll see the link to the leak on the site. But it's one of those things where it feels like, is Google going to cut some corners again? Or are they just going to say, okay, we're going to make something a little bit different?
Yeah, cost-wise, I don't see... It would be nice if they walked back the $499 and made an even $399 would be substantially different, with $349 being that sweet spot for an actual affordable phone. But I wouldn't be surprised if it stays at $499 TBH. But anyways, yeah, I can probably guess what the back plastic feels like. It's very nice on the 8A. I've been using it a bit more lately as a side phone, so to speak. I don't know, it just looks so different from what... I mean, it's a brick. It's a thin brick without any protrusions. And I don't know, it speaks to me for some reason. It just looks different from what Google has been doing. I know some people have said it looks like the Essential 1. I forgot the naming scheme for that phone.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks so basic. It's interesting again. I don't know why I find it so interesting.
I find it weird. Maybe you're not as spoiled as I am with devices on hand all the time, but I think it reminds me very much of like what Nothing have done in some respects. They've done something that's kind of like boxy, but also kind of flat. And I don't know. To steal a comment from what someone had replied to the original post is that I genuinely agree with them that I think it's it looks like it possibly is going to be a good phone, but it's not a good Pixel phone design, if that makes sense, because the design language is almost lost. There's some elements of it, but there's some elements that feel completely out of place.
No, I can see that.
The camera
bar at this point is a given, but could it be a way for Google to differentiate the cheaper phone? No camera bar means, I do see immediately how that's going to be a challenge for them to market it if there's no camera bar even.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the 8A paid lip service to a camera bar, 7A, 6A, that kind of stuff. But again, if not that I expect the phone to be significantly cheaper in any ways, but I think it would be good if Google went more down market again on the A series.
Yeah, maybe we do need. I mean, I think the pricing, if they can hit that 350 mark, I think that's perfect. I think that is just the sweet spot if they can do that, and if it means cutting corners or reducing cost or making cost savings is probably the corporate speak. I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean,
the same camera.
My biggest problem is, and this is completely side note to this, is why do the phones always leak in the most boring colorway? Is that, do you think that's because they're out there in the wild in the most boring colors? I would like to see a different
that's
colors.
What they give out in testing.
Well, possibly, to keep them a bit inconspicuous. Yeah. But there was another bit of information from this secondary leak, because apparently it leaked earlier on prior to this, before being picked up, is that it could arrive at the end of this year. What do you think of that? Because my first instinct is Google clearly would not be that stupid to do that.
No, it's that was going to be my next question, my next point about this phone. It's with Google going in August, launching in August, and assuming it's one, they have to go earlier than I/O for this phone. I/O is too late. 3-month gap?
Mm-hmm.
No. So how early would January kind of makes sense?
Still feels early. My first thought process is, you saying January, is that means fire sale on the Google Pixel 8a, which I must admit in my review I was a little bit critical of because I didn't understand why it existed. But if there's a fire sale on the Pixel 8a because the 9a is arriving,
the equation.
It could be an incredibly high value proposition, if that makes sense, for someone looking for a like an entry level smartphone or a backup device. Like that could be amazing. But that it all seems really strange. Obviously, take all of this with a grain of salt. Well, a huge heaped serving of salt, if I can say it. It's definitely one of those things. I feel like with leaks, things can change. This looks like it probably is some sort of like engineering sample. It looks in better condition. It always seems to be like, it's almost like Aliens, Bigfoot, and anything else that arrives on is potentially caught on camera. Why do people suddenly have a 2-megapixel camera out of nowhere? Like everyone has an iPhone. What are they doing to take such terrible pictures? It's almost like everybody gets together and is like, I'm going to take the worst photo of this device as possible. But
it's an art form.
Yeah, it definitely took the wind out of my sails a little bit, because I'm living with the Pixel 9 Pro XL, and I'm thinking, wow, we're already talking 9A. It's like, it's barely even wild. We haven't even had the fold yet, so yeah, it's going to be wild. But another thing that happened this week that I found was really fascinating and also disappointing as the Android software guy, Android 15 looks like it's going to be released in October. How do you feel in terms of that delay from 9 series shipping? And
official from the downgrade message. Okay. If you're on the Android beta 4.2, it says October. It's official at this point. Yeah, it's disappointing. It's Android. I've been using 4.2 on the main device.
Have you been using it on Pixel 9? On Pixel 9?
I've been using it on the Pixel 8 before getting the Pixel 9, but I have put it on a Pixel 9.
How do you feel about it on the 9? Let's talk about that, because I'm very wary of doing that. I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm keeping my 9 Pro on the stable track for now, just to see what changes. But on the 9, it's not a big update. I think nobody will disagree with that. It's not a big update. Private space is the biggest addition. the Material U volume panel is nice, but again, not a big addition. The private space is maybe the crowning feature, and it's not a bad thing to advertise for Google. But coming in October, it just looks bad. It's the principle of the thing. New Pixel phone should launch with the absolute latest version of Android, and it's the principle of the thing.
Yeah, I think I know we talked about it at length on the podcast already. It's very strange seeing the reaction to it. It doesn't seem to be many people out there who've picked up the Pixel 9 from what I can see on socials. I'm mostly active on Threads, if you're not already following me over there. There definitely seems to be almost no mention of Android 14. There's obviously some foibles and kind of problems with the Pixel 9 that people have, but I haven't seen Android 14 be mentioned, which is and Android 15 as well be mentioned, which is really odd, because we picked up on it straight away. But then again, we're deep in the trenches, I guess. I do wonder if obviously there's a lot of these features that, as we've alluded to before, Google's almost decoupled from Android OS updates to try and give everybody a taste of everything, if that makes sense, and then have. I suppose it goes back to the Made by Google launch event. There was a lot of talk of AI features on stage, and there was a Galaxy phone before we even saw a Pixel phone. So
yeah, and a Moto phone too.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess it's good because not all Android users are treated as second class citizens, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm a little bit. I must admit, I am a bit disappointed that it hasn't been released a little bit earlier. It would have been nice to have Android 15 out there before the Apple product next cycle comes along, but
absolutely,
it is what it is. I guess it's another thing for us to talk about later down the line, so that's always nice.
Yeah,
because obviously we have no phones this year, so maybe that's what Google want to do a bit more often: do release the phones, and then if this is going to be consistent, and then do the software update later. So maybe I can forgive it a little bit. But yeah, that's Android 15. We don't really have much more to say. We've covered Android 15 in depth. It's not huge. But yeah, how do we feel then? Let's have a little chit chat about our devices then. You've been using 4.2 on the 9 Pro, is it, or just the regular 9?
On the regular 9.
Okay,
and I've been continuing to use the 9 Pro since our initial review went up. It's remains solid. It remains. Nothing drastic has changed for me, but for you, you've gone on to the XL.
I have, yeah. So I made the switch. My retail unit arrived, and I've been switching from the Pro to the Pro XL, and the day-to-day experience is not drastically massive in terms of like you know what it's like using a Pixel. It's a case of you're just getting used to the larger size. All of the features that I was already using on the Pro and the smaller 9 to a lesser extent are practically identical. I think the form factor has surprised me massively, even more so, having had like nearly 3 weeks with a 9 series Pixel now, is that I'm I wouldn't say I was particularly vocal with it, but I can't say I'm a huge fan sometimes of what Apple does with its hardware design. But it almost seems like I have to recant that a little bit, because I think Google has done a really good job of implementing something and iterating slightly, but also maintaining its own integrity, if that makes sense. That's probably not the way to describe it, but I just think the flat sides have been a really big decision that has actually worked. I was really worried about it originally. I don't know how you feel about those flat sides. I really think it's a really good size decision.
I love the stability to the volume buttons and the power button, in that it's given that it's flat. Just more stability. As much as I love the curved sides for holding, I just like the flat buttons. And I was concerned that people might find it too not too much of a bump, but I think it's fine. I don't think I've seen that complaint too much.
No, I think, like I say, I was worried. I think that it feels incredible considering it's such a big device. I think maybe the fact that it's aluminium as well means that it's slightly lighter than the titanium. I think, is it lighter than titanium? I could be wrong. This might be me having that placebo effect where it feels lighter, because aluminium tends to be lighter than other metals. The poise, it's in the hand poise is how I would describe it. And I always think since the Pixel 7 Pro, I think Google has really done that well. There's always been a feeling of prior to that, there was always something in the hand that with the Pixel phone that felt off. To me, anyway, I'm describing my own experiences. I think with the Pixel 7 and onwards, there's been a very, very minor upgrade every single time. And I was really surprised that we've gone from 8 Pro, which was a fantastically made device, to the 9 Pro and Pro XL, and they feel even better again, because that doesn't happen. So yeah, I think in terms of the hardware, they've I don't want to say they've nailed it just yet, but I think they've done a really, really good job. I think one of the other things that struck me straight away is I think these haptics, Google has finally surpassed Apple. And I've been
so the haptics this year, we've seen some teardowns now. They've moved the haptic sensor, so it's immediately above the USB-C port inside. So it's maybe just under the fingerprint sensor. I'm not sure how it lines up, but it's right there, just above the USB-C port, if you're imagining it. Previously, I believe it was off to the corner or something like that. But now it's, like you said.
It's weird. It's weird having, for years, and obviously, if anyone's been reading this for a long time, Stephen Hall, shout out Stephen, RIP, you're not here with us anymore, you're not part of the team, but hopefully you listen to this as well. He's a huge proponent for high quality haptics, and I sometimes used to think, why is he constantly obsessed with this? But from the Pixel 3 series onwards, I actually thought, Google are on the right track now, and every year we've had little incremental updates. But the haptics now are exceptional. They genuinely are. I think they genuinely surpassed Apple in terms of the typing feel. When I've used my iPhone 15 Pro Max, which is a test device alongside my Pixel 9 Pro XL, I have to say, I'm going to stick my neck out and say I think they've surpassed them now. Finally, it's not everywhere. Some of the UI feedback needs to be a little bit better, and I do think Apple does that really well. But that's one thing that struck me straight away. As soon as I took it out of the box, I was like, this feels incredible to type on. Some of that might be due to the shape.
Have you been using it with a case?
So I have been using it on and off without a case. I have the official case lineup. I've tested all of them. I think the official case lineup this year is actually the first time I would recommend someone going out and buying one. If you pick up the device and you can get a discount, it's the first time I can hand on heart say they are a good purchase. They have good protection. It's got like a firm frame around the entirety of the actual case itself. My only disappointment, and one of the reasons why I'm not going to use them all the time, because I have the Hazel one with my Hazel Pro XL, is probably because I'm really enjoying MagSafe. I have a couple of MagSafe chargers that I've used for a little while with other cases that have it, like Pitaka make a few, and a few other brands with the S24 Ultra and stuff. And it is really nice to just magnetically stick your phone onto it and not worry about, it's going to fall over, it's going to be knocked. And it's the only disappointment I have so far with the Pixel 9 Pro case and Pixel 9 case lineup is obviously there's not going to be any magnetization in there. There's no MagSafe. So that would be the only way I'd say steer clear. But if you want something that is a pure extension of your phone, there isn't much better. I am testing another case from another brand called Mouse at the moment. I have that in the ridiculous coral color, and I think that could be my go-to moving forward. But I'm gonna switch between them. If I want protection, like when I go to the gym, stuff like that, I'm gonna stick the official case on. But for something thin with MagSafe, I think Mouse has done really well so far as well. But if you can stomach the thought of a $35 case, I don't think you can go wrong there in that respect. And if you want to see the entire lineup for yourself, go check out a video. I did a deep dive into those over the last couple of days. And I have a couple of alternatives in that video as well. But I think, caseless would be my preferred option, but we all know that sometimes you get a bit clumsy and you drop things. I know you're not a case guy, but have you got your eye on any extra accessories? No,
I've just been thinking, with the lining up with the magnets and all that. I use the Pixel Stand 2. I use it. It charges overnight for me next to my bedside. And it's interesting that you raised the point about alignment, because like as the name implies, it's a stand and you can't really miss it. I know some people have reported issues with wireless charging, including on the Pixel Stand 2, where so far it's been fine for me. the thing I have noticed is that even with the 9 Pro, these phones are taller by a smidge. They're tall enough that it's easy for the phone to go overboard. It's if you tap the top half of the Pixel 9 Pro while it's on the stand, it will the bottom like a pivot, like a swivel. It will cause enough clearance between the bottom and the charging coils. So I think we're due for an updated Pixel stand. It's the current one doesn't really look in line with the design language anyways. It's a big bulky thing with a large sheath on the back, so we're probably due for a redesign there. Do you think are you mostly a charging pad person?
I'm on and off really. Like I have a gaming PC and I have my like I have a Mac set up for editing. I don't want to talk about that because as much as I despise Mac OS, it is fun for editing on in terms of like consistency. But yeah, I have a gaming PC that I spend a lot of time on. And what I have is a small MagSafe charger that I managed to pick up on sale, and I just stick my phone on that usually. Last year I had a MagSafe case for the 8 Pro. I say last year, it's this year, right? It's so weird. I've been using the 8 Pro with a MagSafe. It has a MagSafe case that I picked up for like $10. And I stick it on that and it charges, but it does charge a little bit slower. Most of the time I just top up with I plug in wired. I'm not, it's weird. It's weird. I've kind of waxed lyrical about MagSafe just now and magnetic charging. Most of the time I prefer to charge wired. So, I'm always cautious because I think with my previous Pixels, I wireless charged them into oblivion so that the battery, obviously the heat management was horrendous. So I basically killed the phones way too early from only wirelessly charging. So I'm cautious of doing that now. So I kind of charge between that 20 and 80% and only do it wired. So yeah, I'm a hypocrite. I want MagSafe, but I'm probably not going to use it as often as I probably should. So, but in terms of pads, I have a few lying around. I just don't use them that often.
Yeah, I am as a wireless charger. I am very conscious about heat, and it's one reason why I do it overnight when it's definitely cooler and all that. So yeah, that's why I've been doing wireless charging, starting to more seriously with the 9 Pro and just seeing how going a cable-free lifestyle works out. But yeah, it's stands versus pads. But speaking on the same power note, we've been using the new 45-watt charger, and you have the UK version, obviously.
I do, yeah. I do. I love the.
It looks very big over there.
It does. I mean, our plugs do look mammoth. I love the design of it. I think it looks really, really good. It almost. Do you know what it feels like when you turn it around? It looks like you're picking up the Pixel Buds. So I think that's kind of cool. I like that aspect of it. I think that the like you said, the continuation of design is good there. Yeah, I've been testing it out. Hopefully, by the time you listen to this, should be a video live that you can go watch where I've done the actual charge test. It's 45 watts rated, but I'm really disappointed that the maximum I could achieve in terms of charge speed is 32.7 watts.
Yeah, there's always so much overhead. In the 35 watt too. I think it just in the last generation it hit the 35 watts or like 34 or something. Google clearly has been building some overhead into these, so that's something. But yeah, the design wise, to me, it's basically the AirPods Pro case, but you shave off the lid, and on that flat surface you put the prongs, which on the US version anyways, I really wished it would fold in. That it would fold in so that it's when in the bag, it's so much nicer. I mean, it's not like I've ever bent like metal prongs of my previous chargers, but it'll just look so much more compact.
I have a thought as well, having used, and obviously having to purchase the 9 Pro XL. It's a shame that there wasn't an offer for you to get one for free with the device. Like if you're an early adopter, because obviously there were some early pre-order gifts, but I just feel like
throwing in the charger.
It could have been.
It's a nice touch.
It would have been a nice touch to have.
It's not that expensive.
Not really. I mean, then we could get into a big debate about why you probably still should have a charger in the box, that kind of thing. But like, having tested it out, I was severely disappointed with the actual 0 to 100% charge ratings. I tested it alongside the 9 Pro and the 9 using the 30 watt chargers, because obviously they don't support anything above 27 watts. So what was very, very interesting is to go from 0 to 100% was something like an hour and 17 minutes with the 9 Pro XL. And prior to that, I think on a positive note, while the charge speeds were disappointing, it took me a ridiculously long amount of time to kill the 9 Pro and the 9 Pro XL so that I could actually start this charge test. So in terms of like lifespan and stuff like that, I've been very, very impressed with the 9 Pro XL. But it's just the charge speed it's fine up until 50. Like obviously my charging habits are very like in line with this, is being able to go from like 20 to say 70% in less than 25, around about 25 minutes is, I think that's okay. Obviously it's nowhere near like the likes of the OnePlus or Oppo or even some of the most recent Samsung phones with their 45 watt charging. It's just whether or not you're willing to put up with that. I know a lot of people still charge overnight. Personally, I'm not one of those people, so I like the idea of being able to go from 0 to 100 in 30 minutes. But this phone is not that. It will. I know Google states something like 0 to 70 in 30 minutes. In my experience, it's slightly less at about 65%. And I ran this test a couple of times just to see. But yeah, it's around about 65, 60, 67% at the top end. But there's clearly something built into the charger here to prevent overcharging or like heat. There's some heat management, something going on with the phone as well, because that last period, like we know that charging is not linear. It's not like, it doesn't say stay the same speed, from start to finish. You kind of have that really high burst of speed and then it tails off. Well, for the last 20% of the battery, it was something like between 3 and 6 watts. So yeah, that last period is either the adaptive charging's kicking in on the phone or there's something built into the charger to prevent overheating and stuff like that, which I guess is a good thing. I'm good that Google's thinking of that, but to claim that it's a 45 watt charger and you can only really get 32.7 is a bit disappointing. And the 9 Pro wasn't far behind on 24 watts. So yeah, but I was a little bit astounded that the discrepancy was so high, but I guess without giving Google a pass there, it kind of is what it is, and most people charge overnight anyway, so they're not going to be affected by this.
Yeah, the thing I find, so compared to the previous brick, the USB-C port is angled. It's not ejecting. It's not facing you. It's down basically. It's at an angle too. It's absolutely great that these chargers, they're not taking up too much vertical space these days, because that's how most plugs are oriented. So that's a plus for me in terms of design. But otherwise, it's, what is it, $29 in the US?
Yeah, £29 in the UK as well. Yeah.
You can absolutely find chargers that look nicer or are more compact. But Google's offering, which I'm sure will be here for, 4 years at least, in terms of how they kept it. It fits into the design ethos, I guess.
Yeah, I still think it should have come in the packaging, or at least come as some sort of like benefit that with pre-ordering. Like it could have been a nice bonus that people had, but yeah, it is what it is. At $30, I think you're probably better off looking for some other brands, and I will be testing some more over the next couple of months to see what the best option is. For now, I think it's one of those things. We're at that early phase when a product launches. Realistically, you get the official case, you get the official charger, you get the supported screen protectors, all that kind of stuff, and you don't veer too far away just in case you buy something cheap and it doesn't work. But I think that'll change over time. Obviously, it's USB PD supporting on the device, so for you to get that 32 watts, I think it's 37 it can do, but I'll be surprised if there is a charger out there that can actually get 37 watts on this device. But yeah, I think there's lots of things as well with the Pixel 9 Pro XL that I've been enjoying. There's some little things where I'm like, okay, I thought this would have been fixed by now. I don't want to go into too many specifics because my review's not finalized yet. But I know somebody was asking me about the zoom issue. That apparently the zoom issue affecting some devices where it's like on the telephoto you get a slight twist on the sensor. I don't know how to describe it. There's like a rotation effect, if that makes sense. I don't know if you've seen that on your devices.
Can't say I have.
I don't know if I have. I don't know if after seeing the story about it, I feel like I'm convinced that it is happening to my phone, but it might just be me being wary of something. But yeah, there's a lot more to say about the Pixel 9 Pro XL. But again, I'm gonna keep people waiting. And hopefully by the time you listen to this, depends really. I guess depends when you listen to it, but we should have something in the next few days once I've had a little bit more time to get to grips with it. But yeah, that's effectively a little bit more on the 9 series, a little bit more on the 9A. I think we're at episode 22 right now, which is insane. We're
23.
23. Okay, I don't know. Right. Okay.
23.
Yeah, 23 episodes in, we have covered probably every area of Pixel series. We're heavy into Pixel season. We have more to come in terms of the Pixel Watch 3, the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, or the Pixel Fold 2 to me and you. And then at the end of the month, we have Google TV Streamer and more beyond that as well with Android 15. So yeah, stick around for more stuff like that. We'll be delving into the little minutiae. And I just want to say thanks for joining me again today, Abner. I'm forgetting my days and forgetting my episodes because I'm so deep into just covering all things Pixel.
Yep. Yeah. See you next time.
Yes.
David.
See you next, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.